are you? We missed you. Give me a moment.
Here you go, kitty. Come on.
Just give me a few minutes.
Remember, if you're a family member, if you're a relative, a friend, tell them about the Please Subscribe show, but send them a link. It's not hard to do. I shouldn't have to ask you to do it. It's very easy to do. Send them the link to any of the shows and say, please subscribe to the Please Subscribe show. YouTube, Cole Spivey. Right? And you will be rewarded. If you don't, watch out. So if you know me and stuff, please do this. Okay? Including the cat. Well, the cat didn't know how. But you're human, so do it. And figure out a way so that we can get the funding that we need and we can make these beautiful films and features.
Where's the kitty cat? Where's he at?
He was looking for his lover out the window.
Where's he? I fed him some more cat food from that big cat. So he's good on.
He's making a cross stage left. It's very hard to direct. Okay, go ahead and make the exit, kitty. Not for the legs. Okay, that's enough. The exit's this way. Right this way. Exit this way. Right over here. Go over this way. Come on. Action. Go. Go, kitty. Go. Make the move. There we go. There we go. Better than Robert Downey Jr. I'm moving this way. There we go. Very good, kitty. Very good.
You know what movie I watched 6 years ago?
You guys see Chaplin. It's great. What?
It was a Facebook memory I just saw. Dirty Grandpa with Robert De Niro.
Oh, I want to see that. It's Robert De Niro, please, sweetie. He's basically a teacher of mine. Move over this way. Robert De Niro. Like De Niro, like the money.
Yeah.
She can't say Robert De Niro.
Wasn't he dying or something? And his wife
I didn't see it. I'll see it later. I watched Taxi Driver. Good night.
6 years ago.
Taxi Driver was far more than 6 years ago.
What? Are you
What?
doing?
I'm walking up this way. Okay.
I thought you were gonna hold me for a minute.
I'm gonna hold you. Sweet. I know how this is. I gotta make the exit and pretend like I'm leaving. All right, kitty. You ready? Okay. So I'm awake now. More casting. Ideas for Escape from Maine. This is gonna be a big project. We're gonna check out my Facebook. It's gonna be a nightmare. The exteriors I'm just gonna take from the book, and then narration. I absolutely have to have narration. It'll say narration. That means it'll be read, most likely by Johnny Whitworth if he accepts. Baldwin, father. There's figures where he sees his Baldwin standing by the Piscataquis County seat or Piscataquis River. That's Alec. So we'll have to see. Or Baldwin, for sure. So yeah, I see Alec Baldwin as my father in this. So there's one scene where he's by the furniture store, and if Johnny accepts, he'd be standing in the cold, kind of rubbing his hands together, looking out at the river, and then his father just kind of appears there. There'll be moments where he could be throughout the screenplay, too. I can bring in the father figure. He'll talk about the father quite a bit. This goes on for 900 or 1,000 pages. I couldn't do it like this with a screenplay, but I certainly could send it to cast and crew and highly suggests certain moments. Now, when he first arrives at Dexter, he goes to the theater, he hears the voices, this thing calling him, this cold weather, the sub-zero calling him like the devil itself, the cold weather. But moments when the father figure, that's going to be Alec Baldwin. Now, true story, my uncle actually looks very similar to Alec Baldwin. It's a true story, my uncle does. My dad does a little bit. I always picture Jack Nicholson, but Jack Nicholson is way too old. This is like a younger kind of version of my father kind of thing. About what Baldwin is now, it'd be like perfect. I couldn't think of anyone better. That's all I wanted to say. So anyway, that's going to be... Oh, more casting. Forgot. There's 2 Jeremys in the factory. Important part of the theology. This isn't going to be easy. This is going to be very, very difficult. God does this to us to show us our love. Well, he does it to... I'm sorry. He does this to show his love and our love, but he does this to show his love. Jeremy. There's 2 Jeremys. One's based on a guy named Jeremy Hardy that's Pentecostal. The other one is a Jeremy that's kind of a troublemaker. Michael Pitt for the troublemaker. If I can get Michael Pitt, he's older. We were younger, so I was 40. So it was about 10 years ago. This was 2012, so 10 years ago. Michael Pitt would be perfect for the troubled Jeremy. It's hard to figure them out in the book. They're both called Jer, if I'm not mistaken. But you can figure it out because one's the Pentecostal. The Pentecostal guy is a very, very nice guy. He wanted to baptize me in the Pentecostal church. Jer is actually, would be played, man, I would love to get Jeremy Davies. Jeremy Davies from Saving Private Ryan. I'd love to. He would be perfect. The real Jer had a tattoo right here. There's a tattoo that went, let me see if I can do this. From here, it was a cross, so whenever it faced you, it was upside down. He did it on purpose to make Christians mad. Later, he became a born-again Christian, but the cross was upside down, and it showed crucifix with Jesus with like a gas mask or something. It was kind of a punk rock thing. He later became a born-again Christian and Pentecostal. Jeremy Davies, wonderful actor, great actor. Michael Pitt, great too. So the Michael Pitt character, the other guy, who was kind of troublemaker, I think he had a tattoo. He did have a surgery done on his wrist right here from working in the factory too much. It shows it. I might talk about it in the, it's kind of like right here, the wrist right here. They get like carpal syndrome from picking and sorting. But Jer, both, the Michael Pitt one, he was a troublemaker. He made me mad one time. And I told him to leave the factory, but he didn't. He made me mad one time because he was just talking rank. It's probably in the story when they're at the belt. And I pointed at him, I said, why don't you get out of here? He was saying something like, talking about a woman's queef or something. I don't remember exactly what he was talking about. It was something raw. It was some kind of joke, and he was just trying to get me to laugh on the belt. It was extremely loud. I said, you get out of here. I yelled at him. I didn't yell, I was pointing, because he was always kind of tempting me a little bit. He said, I'll bleed for my family. It was just one of those things. It was tough. It was tough work. But listen, I'm not the casting director. But I am going to run this by Scorsese if I can get it in his lap. Him having theology and being on the Catholic side, I'm on the Protestant side. But I think if I get a hold of him, if I could get it into his lap. It's already on my Facebook. It's good. It is very good. It's bringing in the whole mystery of Stephen King, being in Maine, trying to be a writer, dealing with the freezing cold, the fear of that, trying to date in time of the freezing weather, being on the road and ice weather. It's not going to be an easy film to try to make because I'd love to make it in Maine. I'd love to make the film in Maine. It's dangerous up there in the wintertime. It's not safe. I wanted to make a horror film called cryophobia. Cryophobia means the fear of the cold. And no one really jumped on board because they probably figured we really would have died. There were some blizzards and things like that we had to deal with. Definitely Baldwin. Definitely Jeremy Davies. Got to get Michael Pitt. It'd be great. Johnny Whitworth, probably the lead, playing a version of me, which is Jonah Samuel III. If he could, if not, I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm going to give it to his brother, eventually. His brother knows me. I can keep in touch with him, maybe send him parts of the script. It's a big project. Whether it's a series, I don't know. But a feature for sure. I've already put out a lot of information tonight. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find what I have to have by looking at the book. Take it easy, and then I'm going to start crafting up a formalistic screenplay through what I usually do. And then dialogue minimal starting, mostly dealing with the cold, the sound of the cold. I like the fact that maybe it doesn't start with the whale knocking on the door. We might could even cut that or make that a cartoon dream or something weird. Some kind of cartoon dream that he has. I like the idea that he's already in Maine at the beginning. That we know that he's from Texas from his hat, from his brim. He has this hat, and on the stitch is the Texas Longhorns for the UT Austin. Talk about it. Check it out. February 21, 2023. We're dealing with 170-231. And there's Linda. And she's reading a spiral notebook. We're headed out, do stuff with food.
Shit. I knew I was wearing clean underwear.
Private information, just kind of.
I know.
Just la.
Yeah, I know. I got clean underwear on. Do you got clean underwear on?
No, it's not about that. It's like everything's just kind of general and just nothing.
That's fine. Do you have clean underwear on? My socks are dirty.
Yeah, I actually do.
My socks are dirty.
Socks are dirty.
I have one clean underwear hanging up.
There's this 1950s.
And my socks are not matching today.
You have to let me finish. There's this 1950s little like commercial about clean and neat. I wanted to show it to you. And there's this guy, there's two guys that are looking for people that are clean or neat. Or there's a guy and a woman. They're walking around the classroom and this like music's playing. I know, that was a crazy bird.
Oh my gosh, I'm
And the music's playing and they're all like sitting in the classroom wanting to be the most clean and neat. It's like 1950s. And then it goes and shows like a flashback of them getting ready in the morning and like doing their nails and like you want to cut your nails when you get out of the shower because they're easier to cut when you get out of the shower. It's like all these little notes and hints on how to be like clean and neat. And it goes on for a while and they're polishing their shoes. They're like, oh, those shoes aren't very polished, Johnny, you know? And then he's like polishing the shoes. Real 1950s is really crazy. But it's got like the music, real Ed Wood kind of, you know, but they're all like clean and neat. And then it shows the girl and she's like, a girl will wash her hair in the afternoon, in the morning and afternoon or something like that, or something weird. Because she doesn't want to go to bed with wet hair, she's showing her hair. She's like, it's like these junior high kids. We didn't ever watch anything like that in the 80s, we were just like watching Beverly Hills Cop, We were too busy watching like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Commando, We were pretty clean and neat in the 1980s unless you were like a punker. But then 1990s grunge, it wasn't cool to at least look clean and neat, The thing was like, you need a shower, that was like what you told people in the 1990s. You know what I mean? But it's like, you really were secretly clean. You just, not like the 1950s, Anyway. Looks like the cover of Velvet Underground, Sweet Nothing. Coming out of the subway. Doom, 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 doom.
nuts and walnuts, not peanuts, I think. And then one time I read it, and it had said it automatically comes with it. Don't ask if they want it. I don't know. Anyway. Guess I misunderstood the question. I don't know. I just know this is a nutty job. Dirty. Mad at the grocery store still.
As long as you serve the bananas, because Lucille Ball, she wouldn't serve bananas. Think of that. That'd be an odd situation. Lucille, what's up with the bananas? I'm not serving bananas.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Why not? Does anybody ever know the answer to that? She didn't serve the bananas, so they fired her. She became a movie star. All over bananas. Well, how's the video?
They put the banana inside the dish, and then they cut it and open it.
They have Lucille Ball doing it, like a look-alike. See, that's the kind of industrial I would make. You know? And here's Lucille Ball to serve you a banana split. And she's like real reluctant. You think that's even real? Like she really didn't do that, or with the bananas?
Maybe she was having too much fun with her bananas at her home time. James said New York or some shit. I don't know. Okay, maybe it's not as bad as I think it
is. Go towards the light, Christian. All right, so I got a sausage and egg biscuit, and then a certain friend asked if I could do like a refill, but he said it's okay, but technically it's not, but it's okay. And so I got a refill of just, you know, Coca-Cola. I like that in the morning better than coffee, really. I try to do the coffee thing, the hot piping caffeinated beverage, or piping hot caffeinated beverage, and it just wasn't the same as a soda. Maybe I put too much cream in it. It was at 7-Eleven the other day, and I drank a little bit of it, usually just like maybe a cup, and then I'm done for the coffee. But back when, I guess maybe in college, when I was in you know, doing the English classes and staying up reading masterpieces, you know, I never really drank soda there, and I didn't even watch TV. I went like 3 or 4 years without a television. I just read books and stuff and things. I was really obsessed with reading books and then like writing plays. But anyway, okay. So this is the play today. It's a Good Morning Braum's egg and sausage, and then we'll be headed off to drop your breakfast off. And I'm just going to kind of show it to you here. So it's got the egg on it, and this is actually a better deal than McDonald's. Look how big it is. So it's got this big old puffy biscuit right here. Although at McDonald's you can get the other thing, the English muffin. I don't know if you can here. I hadn't asked. This is just mostly just like a regular biscuit. That's kind of, here's like the kind of. All right, here we go. We're going. Oh, he just uploaded right now. Spring training baseball. A leader in my industry.
I love you or goodbye. And then you left me in the car and you just go in there because you needed to eat.
Okay.
It's kind of rude.
Sorry.
let you know. Let me do the computer stuff and then, you know.
All right.
Might need to fork it out till 2.
We'll fork it out. Okay. She's gonna fork it out. The Woo's at the baseball training thing. It'd be wrong not to pay homage to pretend like Adam the Woo doesn't exist. You know, it'd be like if I was serious about a saxophone player and never mentioned Charlie Parker, you know, that kind of thing. I would do more cutaways. I always forget about cutaways. I always just edit it, like I cut it in myself, because I'm old school from cinema. But back then they must have done cutaways. It's weird because, you know, filmmakers now they're studying film, they might see 35mm, you know, as an homage, like a history class, you know. They're all going to learn digital. I'd probably be teaching one of the classes. If it's 35mm, I wouldn't. I'd be learning, you know, but it'd be interesting, the 35mm, you know. It represents something. It'll still be around. Scorsese's a nervous wreck about it because the fact there's so many films that are gonna be lost because that film just disintegrates. I'd highly recommend using digital. But if you do 35mm, then, you know, be sure to transfer it to digital. There's a big problem with it. I saw it the other day. Scorsese starts, he has a foundation that's dedicated to preserving 35mm film and the films that are in danger of just being lost, you know. People have worked their whole life on these 35mm stuff, and if they don't have the right container and the right storage, there's no way they're going to be able to even keep the film. So his whole foundation is just to restore that, to restore the story. Digital is the way to go. And I've heard in an article that David Lynch has chosen just to go digital. Ultimately, it's about the story. It doesn't really matter if it's 35mm or digital, because the story is the most important thing. What it means now, in the most basic terms, it's anybody's ball game. If you want to be a filmmaker, even a writer, you're probably going to be able to do it. You'll be able to promote it, and the more you love it, the more they can see that you love it, because you don't have to send this stuff off to get it developed. Although, for example, like my story, Escape from Maine, which I was reading last night, I do like it. It's a book. It's very good. I wrote it under the pen name Ash Cole. I think on the original, from the computer, I kept the original tower. It's under Cole Spivey. But under my fiction press, I put everything under Ash Cole. That's probably a reason I did that. Yeah, I'd have to have funding for that one. I ain't going to Maine on my own, try to make that puppy. They'd be like Francis Ford Coppola, you know, going to Vietnam to make Apocalypse Now. They wouldn't let him. There's no way. It would just be insane. It's weird. I'm listening to Dave Grohl's book. You know, I mean, I know Dave Grohl was an English major and he was just a drummer. The story's there. The words don't really matter for some reason. I mean, I know it's like, why did he use this word? And then he goes and use this adjective here. But it doesn't matter because that's what writers do. They can do it. You can use adjectives. I remember hearing this one writer talking. He was, you know, is at UNT. He's like, yeah, the professor said, you know, or it wasn't really the professor. It was like some guy. He was talking about writing. He's like, no adjectives at all. Just straight up story, you know. He was like against adjectives, you know. Instead of like, he got in the red car, you know, he just got in the car. You know. There's some truth to that. I mean, I think Grohl did use the adjectives on purpose. He's actually a really good writer. I listened to a little bit of it, and I read most of it at first. It's called The Storyteller. It's about his life and music. It really is. Because he wrote the story. You know, he wrote the story about his life, and I'm sure it's a genius movie. It starts off in a very kind of commercial way where he's talking about Tom Petty, and he has already made it. And he's realizing, wow, I'm going to play drums for Tom Petty, you know. I guess that was like a realization moment. I got a message. I mean, I've had a lot of realization moments. I've sat right next to James Lipton, you know, the creator of Inside the Actor Studio. I was a peer with Bradley Cooper. I'm friends with Danny, the brother of Johnny Whitworth, who was in Empire Records, who Jordan the Lion vlogged. A whole big vlog on that, which is a big deal. I've met John Hurd. I met John Hurd on the set of Pelican Brief when I was about maybe 19. Julia Roberts walked right by me. I was a big Thomas Wolfe fan when I was in high school, but only because my stepdad, you know, had all his literature, and he liked David Lynch. I met David Lynch. I talked to David Lynch. But yet, I don't have the money to prove it. I'm still worrying about paying for a biscuit. But you know what? So are some of the other guys. I'm sure Wallace Shawn, great actor, was in Dinner with Andre. He probably worries about the sausage and biscuit himself. He probably does. I know Spielberg does it. I mean, he's $4 billion. And then, of course, what's his name? George Lucas is like basically $5 billion. Well, 4.9 last time I checked. Just, you know, the thing is, some people are more stewards of the money than others. I don't think Charles Bukowski being a writer, but also a filmmaker, you know, he made Barfly with Mickey Rourke. I don't think he was like rolling in the dough. Another message. Okay, I better get going. Lynn and I were talking about taking poops in the morning. I remember, you know, because I shouldn't really be talking about this, but Bukowski had this whole thing about a beer poop. It's like, it was hot, it fizzled out, I was sitting there sweating. You know, it's like that kind of stuff is just classic because he only spoke the truth. He just boiled it down to the truth. He found a way to do it. They get that to that point, you know, you keep going, you keep boiling it, and you refine it. And even when you read Hemingway, you still see that he was working on that. Ernest. Ernest Hemingway was still trying to boil it down to the most basic true statement that he could. You know, like the word you know. Because you know. You know. Anyway, I got a cast list for Escape from Maine. And it's gotta be great. But you know, I mean, I don't know. It seems like a lot of people didn't want to do Star Wars because they knew it was going to be great. And Star Wars is great. But they didn't really want to do it. They kind of like failures, you know. These actors. The guy's a failure. We got to help him, you know. They all get together. Let's help the failure. There's a story. It's about Arlecchino. Arlecchino was a very poor clown that couldn't even afford his clown outfit. So in the New Orleans times, this was like it wasn't New Orleans, but it was the festival of Mardi Gras kind of thing. I read this story before. And so all the other performers that had bright costumes that were going to march in the parade decided to cut off a little piece of their costume and hand it over to the seamstress. And so they all took a little piece of their costume and sewed it together and made this harlequin, which is the French form of harlequin. The French refined it, but it was from Italian commedia. And so they patched it all together and made Arlecchino's outfit so that he could dance in the parade. Everyone pitched in a piece of their costume. And that's how Arlecchino became the lead clown. And they made a mask for him and everything like that. It's a good story because he came from poverty and he wanted to be a part of the parade. And he was the leader of the parade because of charity. Because charity reflects our one and only Savior, the thing that he wants us to do. So people kind of gave a piece of their shirt so that he could be this thing that he was. Anyway. All right, man. See y'all later.